Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today we're going to take a look at a very fun reverse stenciling technique. You can see the reverse stenciling technique here in the background area of my card. I'm going to show you how easy this is to do. First, I'm going to start with a piece of blank scrap paper. So fish something out of your recycling bin and put it down onto your craft sheet or work area. And then I'm going to bring in my stencil. Now the stencil that I'm using today is from Crafter's Workshop. It's designed by an artist called Julie Faye Fan Balzer, and she does really, really cool stencils. I love this one. And let me put it onto a piece of cardstock. You can maybe see it a little bit better. I think it looks like roses, but she calls it mini echoes, so I guess it could kind of go either way. So I'll just put my stencil down onto my piece of scrap paper, and the stencils that tend to work best for this technique are ones that have a lot of plastic as opposed to the innie areas or the cutout areas, because you're going to be applying your ink onto the stencil itself rather than in those cutout areas. And I'm working with pigment inks, in this case from a company called Clearsnap is the company name, and they make color box. And I want pigment ink because it's slow drying, and this technique works really well with a slow drying ink. I'm also going to use a little mini brayer, and I just need to get some of the ink onto my mini brayer. Just roll it right onto that ink pad and then onto my stencil. I'm going to be using my stencil kind of like a stamp, actually. So let me get a little bit more on here. I tried doing this by just squashing the ink pad onto the stencil, and it kind of didn't work with coverage quite so well. The pink color that I'm using is Cupid. It's a really pretty pink color. So I'm going to get that, and then I'm just going to do a quick little cleanup of my brayer with a baby wipe, and then come back with my iris ink pad and do the same thing. So get some ink on here, and then crossing over some of the pink areas too, so that I get a bit of a blend. You could do this with as many colors as you want to, of course, but I like the pink and the purple together. I like to leave one area that's uninked, just so that I have one little tiny place that's not completely inky that I can handle. Okay, so I'm going to put the lids back onto my ink pads, and then I'm going to get some glossy cardstock, or coated cardstock, whatever you happen to call it. Put that down. Then I need to turn the stencil over and place it down onto my glossy ink pad, or onto my glossy paper. And I need to sort of press this down. It doesn't work so well to do it with your hands, so I'm going to bring back in another piece of paper, put it down on top, smooth it. I'm kind of holding down that stencil area, and then check this out. I'm going to come back in with my stencil, with my brayer. I didn't clean it, and look at this. This is sort of a cool byproduct of the whole process, and I didn't realize until late last night, hey, you could really then make a card with this too. So that's going to be another segment. But for now, we're just using this to press in the design and transfer some of that ink onto the glossy cardstock, and this is what you get. Cool, isn't it? I love it. And it's really captured the varying colors of both of the pink and the purple, and it gives you a totally different look than the stencil itself. I think that is just the coolest thing. So you can see why you want the areas of the stencil or to choose a stencil that has the most plastic, that you can get the ink onto it. Now, because this is pigment ink and because this is glossy paper, I need to let it dry. Either let it dry overnight or hit it with a heat gun and dry that up before you start handling it. I'm going to set this aside and bring back in a piece that I have that's already dried. It didn't turn out perfectly. You can see there's some areas on here that didn't really transfer, and I thought, should I do another one? And then I thought, no, I'll show you that it doesn't always come out perfectly. But what I want to do now is I'm going to cover the front of my card with this piece of paper. However, my card is smaller than the 6x6 template shape on here, The card is 4¼ by 5½. And so I really can choose, you know, do I want this area or do I want that area? And I had a hard time sort of figuring out, you know, which area to use. So I took my card, I put it down onto another piece of scrap paper, traced around, and then cut a window so that I have a little aperture, if you will, so that I can say, do I want to get this area? Do I want to move it over to this area? Maybe I want to get the area over here. And then what I do is just mark with a pen or a pencil. So say if I want this section, then I'll scoot it over just a little ways and mark here, and then maybe mark over here. And then when I get ready to cut, I can cut inside those areas so that I can get the area of my really cool design that I want. So let me just bring back in the finished card so that you can see. I'll get my scrap paper out of the way here too. And the area, of course, is this background that I've done. Before I glued it down, I wrapped it with a piece of sheer ribbon. I think sheer ribbon goes really well with this technique. It kind of looks, I don't know, it looks a little bit Hawaiian to me for some reason, or maybe I just want to be in Hawaii. But I kept the rest of the cardfocal really simple. This is just a colored piece of glossy cardstock. And I did that by taking a piece of glossy cardstock and my brayer. Let me just clean this off quickly, some of that purple. And then I took a little bit of my Cupid and just brayered that on, directly onto the paper, to get enough color down so that I had a background, and then I could stamp my design on there. And the stamps that I'm using are a really nice set from hot off the press, and they are called Heart to Heart. I think it's a little hard to see, but you can see some of the different designs on here. So a very cool stamp set, and I stamped that sentiment with the iris ink. So all pigment inks, do be sure and let it dry. I matted this onto teal cardstock and glued it down with some double-sided foam tape. Now this is what it looks like with glossy paper, but I thought, what would it look like on matte paper, non-glossy paper? So I did the exact same technique onto a piece of matte cardstock, and this is kind of an off-white color. And at first I thought, oh, I'm not that crazy about it. But then the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. And then I took my ink pad and inked around the outside edge, and it suddenly made it so much better. Don't know why that is. Just a little touch, sometimes that's all it takes. And then I thought I could just put this down into an area that didn't get so much of the pattern transferred, and then I would have another quick and easy card ready to go. So this is the reverse stenciling technique. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. For more inspiration, head on over to saranaumann.com. I'll see you later.